Hello, this next section, you guys are going to have to do square roots, which we did at the beginning of the year, but I wanted to go over it again just to remind everybody what it was. So when you have a square root, it's them telling you the area of a square. So we have a square. This area is 25, meaning we have 25 boxes in this square. If I ask you, what is the square root of 25, that's me asking, what is the length of this square? As you remember, squares have equal side lengths. So if you tell me the side is 4, then that means all of them are going to be 4. But here we can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means the top is going to be 5, which means all of them are going to be 5. And the way that we can check this is to find the area of a square. We do side times side, or we can say side squared, which is important because the opposite of squaring a number is taking the square root. So that means square roots and squarings are opposites. So square roots and squaring numbers, those are opposites. They will undo each other. So we can take a look at our perfect squares. So if I have a square that has an area of 1, that means my side length is going to be 1. If I have an area of 4, 2 times 2 is 4, so that is a side length of 2. This has an area of 9, and my side length of this square would be 3. Again, and so on and so on. Square root of 16 is 4 because 4 times 4 equals 16. I don't know if you guys remember, but I talked about the matching pairs. You have to have your matching pair of shoes to go outside the house. If that makes no sense to you, then don't worry about it, but it was something that we used to help us remember what square root meant. So if we had a square root of 16, I needed a pair, and this was my pair, and it could go outside the house. So some other perfect squares, 25, which would give you 5. And then what would be my next box? Good, 36. And then we would do 7 times 7, then 8 times 8, and so on and so on. Okay, so what is the square root of 64? 8 times 8. What is the square root of 49? That would be 7 times 7, so a side length of 7. Square root of 25 is what? 5. The square root of 9, what times what is 9? Oh, and an important thing I need to tell you. Some people might say like, oh, 36. I can get 36 by doing 9 times 4. Yes, that's true. However, if I were to draw this, that would not be a square. That would be a rectangle. So that's not a square root. In order for it to be a square, my side lengths have to be the same. So length of 6, width of 6. That would give me my square root of 36 because it's a square, not a rectangle. And then, so the new part that I want to show you guys is fractions. So fractions might look a little difficult, but it's actually the same thing. You just take the square root of the top, and then you take the square root of the bottom. So this would mean the negative stays in the front. We have a square root of 1 over the square root of 4. And then once they are separated, then it's a lot easier to do. The square root of 1 is just 1 times 1. The square root of 4 is just 2 times 2. So my final answer would be negative 1/2. Let's try this one. That is the square root of 81 on the top, the square root of 121 on the bottom. The square root of 81 is something times something equals 81. That would be 9. And then on the bottom, 121. Well, I know 10 times 10 is 100. So 11 times 11 is 121. And then you can just keep it as a fraction. You don't have to change it into a decimal. Try this one, 40 square root of 49 over 196. So 7 times 7 is 49. 196, we know it's going to be bigger than 10, probably smaller than 20 because 20 would give you a really big number. But I would try to do something like 11 times 11. Not sure if you guys can see my calculator, but I'll open up a calculator. If I do 11 times 11, that gives me 121. That's not big enough. So if I do 12 times 12, that gives me 144, still not big enough. 13 times 13 is 169, still not big enough. Then I try 14 times 14, 196. Okay, so this has a square with side lengths of 14. This one I can simplify. That would simplify to 1/2. And then these ones, I'm going to, let's see, I'll do this bigger one. Number 20 and 21 will be your practice problems for this week. All right, good luck. Thank you, guys.